damage control than in finding out the truth.
What our government did in the name of secrecy to these individuals is absolutely shameful.
According to these airmen, they soon became unwilling participants in a government cover-up. Initially, the investigation followed standard military procedure. Deputy Base Commander Charles Holt, himself a witness, began debriefing the airmen who'd reported seeing the craft.
I had no choice. I couldn't ignore it. There were so many witnesses and so many people at so many different places.
John Burroughs, who claimed to have seen the UFOs on both nights, says his interview was straightforward.
He took our statements, kind of looked at them, said it was really a wild thing, and there's really no explanation for what's going on, and that's how it was kind of left.
Others, like Sergeant Jim Peniston, say that things began to get heavy after their meeting with Holt. 2 weeks after his initial interview, Peniston was called for another debriefing, this time with a high-ranking team of investigators from the OSI.
The OSI is the Office of Special Investigations. It's, how shall I say, the discreet police is one way to put it.
And they are there to police the US Air Force. And they can actually walk into an office of a general and, you know, even arrest him, if you like. That's how powerful they are.
When Peniston entered, the mood in the room was ominous. He began giving his statement and offered the investigators sketches and notes of his encounter. According to Peniston, the rest of the interview is a blur. To this day, he has difficulty recalling precisely how the OSI extracted information from him.
They took extra steps to make sure I was telling the truth. Sodium pentothal. I'm sure I gave a release for that. And hope that they understood that everything I said was the truth. I believe I gave my permission for that, I would think.
In Peniston's view, the military's investigation took a sinister turn as more men were called in for questioning. Shortly after the event, Sergeant Adrian Bustinza, who had accompanied John Burroughs to the field, was taken to an underground room for questioning. Even now, Bustinza refuses to speak publicly about the events of that night. Investigative author Georgina Bruni claims to have spoken with him.
They said to him, look, you know, what you saw was a light from the local lighthouse. And he said, no, I saw much more than that, it was more than that. No, you don't get the picture, do you? And they would not let him go until he agreed that what he saw was the lighthouse. And the moment they said to him, bullets are cheap, a dime a dozen, is when he said, okay, it was the lighthouse.
Other witnesses also say they were told to drop their stories about a UFO.
We were told that we couldn't talk about it, was to treat it as top secret, and that was it. We never talked about it.
Airman Burroughs believes that signs of a cover-up are obvious. Shortly after his interrogation, Burroughs was back on guard duty. Making his rounds, he saw that the woods were bustling with activity.
There was vehicles leaving Woodbridge going out into the forest. There was helicopters flying around out there, so there was some stuff going on out there. Exactly what, I don't know.
Deputy Base Commander Charles Holt was also aware of covert activities going on at the base.
I heard some stories that were substantiated by several people that a plane load of people did come in a day or so later and did do a lot of investigating.
Peniston and Holt claim they took pictures of the mysterious craft they encountered. But when the prints came back from the base's photo lab, they were blank.
The pictures were whited out, most of them. I thought that was really unusual, and I believe that the photos that I got were intentionally just whited out photographs. That's what I believe.
Even Lieutenant Colonel Holt, the highest ranking eyewitness, believed he was being kept in the dark by the authorities. As the investigation continued, he was asked to type up a memo based on his interviews with other witnesses and submit it to his superiors. Holt's understanding was that the document was to be shared with the British government. Holt submitted a memo entitled Unexplained Lights. He wrote, "The individuals reported seeing a strange glowing object in the forest. The object was described as being metallic in appearance and triangular in shape." It was not a definitive report. Many of the details were missing or incorrect, and the descriptions at times were vague.
The memo was not meant for public consumption. It was meant as a tickler, if you will, to the Ministry of Defense to get them involved to do a proper investigation.
With Holt's memo filed safely away, eventually the rumors of UFO sightings died down. For 3 years, the public was kept in the dark about what happened at the air bases. Then, in 1983, a new witness surfaced with a startling claim about the UFO encounter, one that was only to deepen the mystery of Rendlesham Forest.